Just want to document symptoms kind of quickly because I've fallen behind in school because of, well, various factors, such as the Jews on Twitter not allowing me to, or attempting to not allow me to think a certain way, which I'm going to raise a poll now. Is it hate speech if it's true? If I make a statement that's true, but it reflects poorly on a certain group, then is it still hate speech, even though it's true? Symptoms are mild hallucinations. I've been having them off and on for about 2 or 3 weeks now. Cause is secondhand marijuana in the environment. Hallucinations are visual. Not so much auditory, occasionally auditory, but more visual and auditory. I'll see people and turn my head and then nobody's there out of the corner of the eye. People moving in the house that are the shadow people, not real. Turn my head, they vanish, no one was there. Word salad, stumbling over words. Focus, I can do this. Just now I was closing the laptop and I saw the tracers. You know, where I close a laptop, then the laptop was still closing. Anyone who's done hallucinogens will know what the tracers are. Or the trails, or whatever you call it. Yeah. Something interesting happened. Yesterday, I believe it was, might have been the day before. A friend called me. Not quite out of the blue, but a little bit out of the blue, because I texted her, I think, over a week ago. And it took her that long to respond, because she was busy. But when I told her, or I reminded her that marijuana sets off my schizophrenia, even secondhand, she said, "I'm so sorry." And that struck me as odd, because why would she apologize? It's not her fault. She doesn't smoke weed that I know of. But then I realized that she was apologizing because of what Joe Biden did, and the Justice Department, and the corrupt government with legalizing. And that meant a lot to me, because no one has apologized. No one has even admitted that I was right, except for artificial intelligence. It seems, it definitely is, that there is a specific, distinct, coordinated effort through social media to push a lie as the truth. Undoubtedly many lies, as though they were truths. And one of the lies is that marijuana is harmless, and secondhand marijuana doesn't set off my schizophrenia. When my white Christian roommates did the drug deal with the mushrooms, and I opposed it, they had the same reaction the Jews had. Not all Jews, but the Jews on Twitter who were very pro-marijuana and aggressively trying to push it on me, or at least push acceptance of it on me. And the reaction is, you're not allowed to think that way, right? You're not allowed to oppose drugs. You can't be that way. We have to change the way you think. We can't allow you to think the way you want. You can't think in a way that we don't like. We have to change it. And I made counterpoints that were objective, factual, truthful statements, and they still wouldn't change their minds. They made a stronger point than I did. I just cited a few marijuana fatalities. I only knew of maybe roughly 18, but I think over 263 infant deaths, for example, toddler deaths, have been associated with babies consuming edibles and things like that. Well, because their parents were too stoned off of marijuana to prevent the kid, to watch the kid effectively, essentially. They were too high to prevent the kid from eating the weed brownies, and the baby's heart stopped. That sort of thing. But I can only cite 3 at that moment off the top of my head. And so the guy, somehow his Google's more better than mine. I don't know what, or whatever other search engine he uses. And he said there's been over 500 marijuana deaths this year alone. So I can only think of 3. They thought of 500, and then said, that's nothing. What are you talking about? No! As an American, you should want marijuana legalized. And so I was thinking, okay, they've been programmed by TikTok and Google and, social engineering through media, etc. It's pretty clear. The fingerprints of Leor Cohen and Lou Adler, etc., are pretty clear on the psychological mindset of people like this. However, yeah, see, difficulty focusing. I feel so lightheaded and strange. Today at church, I guess that's another symptom of involuntary exposure to secondhand marijuana. Today at church, we were leaving, and I thought it was someone from the church because it was an old white guy. He was waving, and the driver, who was an old white guy, in his 80s, I believe, if not early 90s, he was ignoring him, didn't even know he was there. And I said, hey, someone's trying to get your attention because of my brain injury and possibly the schizophrenia set off by secondhand marijuana. I was weak-minded. So I was a vulnerability. I was the weakest link in the chain. And I said, hey, that guy's trying to get your attention. This dude was so used to ignoring people like that, and I soon figured out why. The guy was not from the church trying to wave him down like he forgot his wallet or something. No, the guy was begging and was missing all his front teeth on the upper and lower jaw. I think he's the one who stank like marijuana, which would be third-hand marijuana, right? When it soaks into someone's clothes or something like that, but likely his teeth were missing because he smoked methamphetamine, because this area is really bad for methamphetamine in the Bible Belt. So there's undoubtedly a huge history of that man with marijuana and methamphetamine. And he was begging for money. Oh, I'm a Marine, I don't do drugs, he said with missing teeth from the meth. He lied right through his gums, right to our face. And, yeah, so the guy was like, dude, I'm not giving you any money. No money for gas? No food? Gas or food? No. They'll give you food in that church, is what he said. And the guy's like, no, I need money. I was like, right, yeah, And apparently there's a lot of that out here, so there wasn't a Jew in sight. So no Jews to blame. There are Jews who attend the church, which is funny because this woman, she's this guy's wife, so I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but she's very, very pretty. And she has the Jewish nose, very distinct. And so I immediately, because of my racism, was like, oh yeah, that's a Jew. That's a Jew. Not in a bad way, just in an objective way. And sure enough, her last name is Cohen. Or was Cohen before she got married. I think I'm losing my focus. But yeah, so that's all. I know the aggressive liars on the internet will tell me that no, marijuana is fine. So it's insane to me that one person on this whole planet was the only one to be honest about that and say she's sorry because the government, the Jews on Twitter pushing weed, the whites pushing weed, including the white Christians that I'm living with, etc. Not one has ever said, I'm sorry for all of this. Not one Hispanic, not a member of the government, not a member of my ethnic group, not a member of my family, not anyone from Vashon. So that was a insane moment for me. It's like, wow. My whole life, everyone's just fucked me over without a second thought. Especially with weed. Anyhow, even though I'm hallucinating, I have deadlines. So, yeah, that's another interesting thing, because that means that even when I'm believing these liars and trying to mind trick myself, oh yeah, it's fine, it's harmless, just like they said, I'm still having positive symptom schizophrenic symptom presentation in the form of visual hallucinations and occasional auditory hallucinations. So it's still harmful even when I'm a it's not placebo, it's biological, it's a physiological reaction. Cannabinoids attached to certain receptors that affect the production and absorption of GABA and glutamate and things like that. So